Krishna everyone. Hope you had a lovely day. Welcome to Soma Vedic Astrology channel. Today we will be discussing about the placement 11th lord in the 8th house. What do you mean by the Lord of the House in Vedic astrology? Now, each planet has got a responsibility of handling either one or two houses. So, this planets become the Lord of those houses. Now, look at this table to see which planet is the Lord of which zodiac sign. So, if you see this table, Mars is the Lord of two zodiac signs, which is Aries and Scorpio. Venus is the lord of two zodiac signs, Taurus and Libra. So, in this way, each of the planet has gotten a department to handle either one or two zodiac signs. Now let us try to understand that with an example. Now for example, if in your chart third lord is in the fourth house, so how you conclude whether third lord is in fourth house? So if you see, this is the first house where 12 is written, this is the second house where 1 is written, and this is the third house where 2 is written. Now what is 2? If we have a look at the table, then 2 is nothing but the Taurus zodiac sign. And who is the lord of Taurus zodiac sign? It is Venus. Okay, so what you will say then, lord of the third house is Venus. Okay, because it is the lord of the Taurus zodiac sign. And but where is Venus placed? Now Venus is placed in the fourth house of the birth chart. So this is how you will conclude that third lord is in the fourth house. So today we will check the placement 11th lord in the 8th house, but before that I have already made detailed videos on what all things can we see from the 8th house as well as from the 11th house. Please go and check that out before proceeding with this video. Also, please note that this is a general prediction depending only on the placement of lords in a specific house. Accurate results will only come after considering the zodiac sign, planets, dignity of the planet, retrogression, combustion, aspects, nakshatra, ascendant, shadbal, conjunction, and your running time period, which is Mahadasha, Antardasha, etc. So, 11th house is a part of the Kama Trikon. Okay, it is linked to your pleasures, your desires in life, and 8th house is part of the Moksha Trikon, which is linked to getting detached and getting liberated from the material aspects of life. So when this both houses are linked, obviously there will be experiences which you will get in your life, for which the higher purpose would be that you detach from the desires and materialistic pleasures of life. Now, 11th house is a Upachya house. It means that the things which is signified by this house takes time. Like as and when the time progresses, things improves with time with this with respect to this house. Eighth house is not an easy house. It is a Dushtana house because it is linked with all kind of negative elements, maybe accident, natural calamities, fraud, cheating, deception, all kind of negative elements that could be possible is attached with the eighth house. So eighth house also has a suddenness attached to it. It is a mystery. Like you will never expect what is going to happen, and that thing happens. So there is always an element of unpredictability which is associated with the eighth house. So it is not a very comfortable house. So when 11th lord is going and sitting in the eighth house, if it is not well placed, definitely there will be struggles with maintaining a steady income source. If for a job placement, this is a very difficult position to maintain steady income source. Now, 11th Lord is going 10 places away and sitting in the 8th house. 10 places away, 10 places the Karma Sthan. It shows, events related to one's career. So, because eighth house is a dusthana, it is not a very comfortable house. There is a possibility, if it is not well placed, especially that time, there will be a possibility of either a job loss, even which could happen at least once in your life if you are in job, or there could be a sudden transition into some different career path altogether, because you get some transformative event in life wherein you realize that path one in which you are there does not suit you, and then in a click of a button you want to change your path. Or you can also feel that the job uh, structure is actually not for you, and maybe you would go to have something self-employed or in a business. So any of this event is possible related to this placement. Okay, and because of this, the suddenness which is linked to this placement, it is going to impact the nature of your income too. Now, 11th Lord shows your friends and network circle, your social community, and 8th house is a house which is linked to all the underground activities, secret activities. So, when 11th Lord is going in the 8th house, one's friends, network circle, social media might include, seeing astrologers or occult practitioners, spies, detectives, people to watch the content related to this detectives, people involved in deep research of a particular subject. Now that subject depends on which planet is the 11th lord. Now 11th lord shows your friends, your network circle, and 8th house is the house of hidden activities, secrets, underground activities. So what does this show? That your friends and network circle, either you like to keep maintain secrecy into that, or you could have a secret social circle which people are not aware of, secret friends, or you might probably like to go into some underground clubs, some secret institutions. So this is a possibility. Now, 11th lord shows your gains and incomes, and 8th house is a house of sudden events, events which you totally did not expect it coming in your life. So, when your income is linked to sudden events in your life, getting wealth becomes difficult. It becomes very fluctuating because of the suddenness attached to it. So one might have to go through a load of tests, struggles, and hardships with this placement before one's desires are fulfilled. Now, 8th lord shows gains, and 8th house is the house of sudden events. So, this is not a placement where one can expect a steady source of income. So, this is not favorable for doing a steady 9 to 5 job kind of a thing, because this placement, if you are even a part of a 9 to 5 job, fluctuation in income is going to be inevitable. Steadiness won't be there. Now, 11th lord shows gains, and 8th house shows sudden events of gains and loss. So, if this is a well placed position, then one could possibly gain suddenly in life. This is especially during one's appropriate dasha period is active. Now, one could gain suddenly with the means of either inheritance or insurance money, lottery money, or alimony, gratuity, speculative investments, or by managing other people's money, which is, example is mutual fund managers. So all these departments is good with this placement, where one has to manage other people's money. So these are the departments which is good with this position. Now 11th lord shows gains, and 8th house is the house of, going deep into some subject, doing deep research. It is a house of natural house of Scorpio zodiac sign. So all kind of occult related activities is also seen from the 8th house. So if it is well placed, okay, and the other combination support in your chart, then one can also possibly gain from researching into a particular subject, or from petroleum and mining. Again, this depends on which planet is the 11th lord. Here we are just seeing all the generic possibilities. So one can gain from the occult work, insurance and tax agents, because insurance, tax, all this is seen from the 8th house. 11th lord shows elder siblings, and 8th house is the house of secrecy. So elder siblings might like to be in secrecy, especially in matters which is, signified by the 11th lord. Now 11th lord shows gains, and 8th house is spouse's family. Why? Because 7th house is spouse, and second house from uh, the 7th house indicates spouse's family. Second house usually shows the family of a person. So if it is well placed, then your spouse's family or your in-laws might be from well to do background. Now, 11th lord shows gains, and 8th house is the house of spouse's family. So, if this is well placed, then one might be able to gain due to his or her association with in laws. Now, it could be any form of gain. Maybe your in laws might support you to do some kind of business, or maybe in laws could give you some kind of idea which helps you gain wealth. So it could be, any form of association with in-laws which could be beneficial with this placement if it is well placed. 11th lord shows your elder siblings, and 8th house shows sudden events of ups and downs in a person. So when elder sibling is going and sitting in this sudden full events house, it definitely shows that elder sibling is not going to have a easy life will be full of fluctuations, ups and downs. Now 11th lord shows desires, and 8th house is the house of secrecy and sexual matters. So when this 11th lord also is part of karma trikon, so this linkage also makes one person highly sensual and has highly sexual desires. Now 11th lord shows income, and 8th house also shows the negative elements like cheating, fraud, theft, tax issues, etc. So if this is badly placed, then there will be, loss of income, either because someone cheated you, or there is some financial scandal wherein you get involved, theft, fraud, tax evasion, money laundering, or due to natural calamities or corruption. So this is a very risky position. So 11th lord shows one's income, and 8th house is the house of hidden activities and secrecy. So with this placement, there is a possibility of native gaining from some form of hidden activities which the native is doing, hidden sources of income, secret income source, or secret investments which the other people and the native's family does not know. The native can earn from these sources too. Now 11th lord shows gains, and 8th house is the house of longevity. So if the 11th lord is badly placed, then this can negatively impact the longevity of a person. But if it is well placed, then it is going to have a positive impact on the longevity of the person. 11th lord shows gains and income, and 8th house is the house of sudden events. So because this is not a comfortable position with respect to 11th lord of income, Okay, one might have a lot of mental anguish, anxiety, restlessness, stress, especially with respect to all this is with respect to one's income, because all the other aspects is also in these days related to how much you earn. If you are not earning, the other things of the other aspects of your life also takes a hit. So the stress during this period will definitely be there. Now 11th lord shows income, and 8th house is the house of sudden gains and losses. So if it is badly placed, then there is a possibility that one might lose money due to gambling, speculative addictions, or due to any bad habits, alcohol addiction, any form of addictions. One can lose a lot of money on those bad habits as well. 11th lord shows gains, and 8th house is the house of sudden gains and losses. So this placement is usually gives a good amount of gains in a person's life, but that happens mostly after dealing with a sudden crisis situation in your life, or after loss of loved ones, or some sad event which happens in your life, or accident, or bad publicity of the native. So this is how this placement is, that some bad situation occurs, and with that crisis situation only it is possible to gain with this placement. If a person is already working in crisis related departments, is a surgeon in the emergency wards, morgues, so if a person is already part of any such crisis events like fire departments, anything, so it is a very good placement, because you are already aligning with the position in your chart. Again, which crisis department, again it depends on the 11th lord. Again, if you are all, doing some form of a research, or doing some research activities in the occult department, in any departments related to 8th house, then it shows that this placement is working well for you, because you're already aligning with the position of your birth chart. Now, 11th lord shows gains, and 8th house is the house of sudden gain. So, if it is well placed, then there is also a possibility of winning lottery during the appropriate dasha period. Okay, if this is getting also linked with the 4th house, then there are some government housing lottery schemes and all those things. So, depending on which house it is getting linked, the lottery possibility of winning lottery in that significations becomes high. Now 11th lord shows gains, and 8th house is second to the 7th house. 7th house is your spouse. Second house is the maraka house for the first house. So 8th house becomes a maraka house for your spouse. Okay, so as per bphs, the possibility that you live longer than your spouse is more with this placement. Now 11th lord shows incomes, gains, and 8th house is the house of cheating, fraud. So if this is badly placed position, then there is a possibility that you might get cheated in money matters, so you have to be very cautious. Research everything before investing your money. Do not trust anybody blindly. You could be cheated, especially by someone from your friend circle, or network circle, or community, or some online fraud cheating. So this is possible if it is badly placed. So invest, research properly before you invest in anything. Now 11th lord shows desires, and 8th house is the house of misery, misfortune. So if this is badly placed, so one might be inclined to fulfill his or her desires by hook or crook. Okay, the person might not even see if the path is moral or immoral. Now this is when, if a person is going through a misery, misfortune for a long time and sees no way out of it, the person comes into survival mode. After that, the person is not seeing whether this is right, this is wrong. He just wants to survive. Now, um this is how it could happen. Now, 11th Lord sitting in the 8th house is giving its 7th aspect to the second house of family and savings. So, this clearly shows that the fluctuations in your income, if it is badly placed, is going to have a huge impact in how much you can save, because second house shows your savings. It also shows your relationship, how it will affect your relationship with your family members, the condition, the well-being, the status of the family, because second house also shows one's family. Okay, so even one, if a person gets lucky with this placement, it is advisable to invest properly, save properly, because we have seen people winning this lottery in the TV shows. Most of them are not able to save those money. They become bankrupt in the next 3 to 4 years. So even if this, you become lucky and get some form of sudden gains with this placement, the biggest factor here will be whether you will be able to save it for the future purpose or not. I will in future make separate videos with different type of planet as the 11th lord in the 8th house. If you have this placement in your chart, please do mention your experiences in the comments section. I hope you guys must have liked the video. Please do not forget to subscribe the channel. Also, please do let me know in the comment section below what more videos would you like to see. Thank you.